Welcome back to the channel Future Speed Hub 2026. Today we will talk about the Japanese Type 3 Kainu medium tank, one of the most significant armored vehicles developed by Japan during the later stages of World War II. The Type 3 Kainu represented Japan's attempt to catch up with the advancing tank technologies of the Allies, especially after the appearance of more heavily armored and better armed American tanks in the Pacific theater. Although the Kainu never saw combat in World War II due to Japan's surrender before it could be deployed in large numbers, it remains an important chapter in the history of Japanese tank design and military engineering. The Type 3 Kainu was developed as an improvement over the earlier Type 97 Kaiha, which by the early 1940s had become outdated against Allied armor such as the M4 Sherman. The Japanese Army recognized the need for a tank with stronger firepower and improved protection. The result was the Type 3 Kainu, which mounted a more powerful 75mm Type 3 tank gun, derived from the Type 90 field gun. This weapon gave the Kainu a chance to fight against American Shermans and possibly even some heavier vehicles if necessary. Compared to its predecessors, the Kainu's gun was a major step forward, providing greater penetration and longer range effectiveness. In terms of design, the Type 3 Kainu retained many features of earlier Japanese tanks, such as relatively light armor compared to Western designs, but it still represented an upgrade. Its frontal armor thickness reached up to 75mm, which was more than the Kaiha and Type 1 Kaihi. However, it was still vulnerable to most Allied tank and anti-tank weapons of the time. The tank weighed around 18 tons and was powered by a Mitsubishi Type 100 V12 diesel engine, producing about 240 horsepower. This gave it a top speed of roughly 38 km per hour, which was considered decent for its size and role as a medium tank. Production of the Kainu began in 1944, but due to shortages of resources, industrial damage from Allied bombings, and Japan's increasingly desperate war situation, only about 144 to 166 units were built before the war ended. These tanks were held in reserve on the Japanese home islands in anticipation of an Allied invasion, known as Operation Downfall. However, since the invasion never occurred due to Japan's surrender after the atomic bombings and Soviet entry into the war, the Kainu never got the chance to be tested in real battle conditions. Despite its limited use, the Type 3 Kainu is often regarded as the most effective Japanese tank fielded during the Second World War. Its gun was finally comparable to that of Allied tanks, and if deployed earlier or in larger numbers, it could have posed a significant challenge in defensive battles. However, the tank's late arrival, combined with Japan's struggling wartime industry, meant it came too little, too late to influence the outcome of the war. After the war, many of the surviving Kainu tanks were taken by the Allied occupation forces, and some were scrapped. A few examples survived and are now preserved in museums, serving as rare reminders of Japan's late-war tank development. For military historians and enthusiasts, the Kainu represents both the ambition and limitations of Japanese armored warfare during World War II. The Type 3 Kainu highlights the technological gap Japan faced during the war. While the Allies, especially the United States, were mass-producing thousands of tanks with advanced features, Japan's armored production was restricted by limited raw materials, less advanced industrial capacity, and a strategic focus on naval and air power over land forces. As a result, tanks like the Kainu, though advanced for Japan, could not match the scale or consistency of Allied armored forces. Today, the Kainu stands as a symbol of Japan's efforts to modernize its armored forces under extremely difficult circumstances. It may not have gained the battlefield reputation of tanks like the Sherman, Panther, or T-34, but it remains historically significant for its role in Japanese defense planning and is a testament to how warfare pushed nations to innovate even under severe limitations. Thank you for watching this detailed look at the Type 3 Kainu medium tank. If you enjoyed learning about this unique piece of military history, make sure to subscribe, share, and stay tuned for more fascinating stories about tanks, planes, and weapons that shaped the course of the 20th century. I see you next video.